I've already got my crystal drawn out, and I'm using this one for my inspiration, but I did modify it a little bit so that there's actually 3 sides. So basically I just added a line right here. And so far we've been working with having a side that's darker, mid-tone, and then a light. We're gonna throw all that out the window this time. And this time our bottom is going to be where the darker tones live. And as we come up to the top, it's going to be much lighter up there. So this is a technique that I would use for not just this particular turquoisey crystal. This is a lot of fun to play with all sorts of colors. So let's begin by me telling you what the colors are. So I'm going to be using burnt umber. I've got quinacridone sienna, phthalo turquoise, and I might add a little bit of indigo. So if you don't have these colors, please don't worry about it. Substitute as you have, or use colors that are similar. This quinacridone sienna is actually a mixture of coral and gold. So it's a very orangey color. If you have an orange, you probably could get away with using that as well. All right, so let's get started painting. For this one, like I said, we're going to be going really light and airy up here at the top. So what I like to do is add a little bit of water. Just go ahead and just in one of your sections, go ahead and add in just a tad bit of water. You don't have to worry about like getting it perfect. I just want to make sure that we're going light and airy for this one. So I'm going to grab some burnt umber first. Make sure I've got that mixed up really well. And you can see the intensity here. I'm going a little darker. And I'm going to lay that color right in the bottom and let it flow into that water that I already put into this space. Now down here at the bottom, where we're going to have all this darkness, I drew in some facets. So I'm kind of painting around, making some angular shapes. And often what happens while I'm painting too is there's like areas where there'll be a little white spot where I didn't put paint or water. And in this case, I like to leave those and see what happens. So filling in, I know that down here in the very bottom, I want it to be pretty intense. So this is where I might add a bit of indigo. And remember that a blue and a brown make a bit of a gray color, right? So I'm adding the brown right back over the blue, and that will turn into a magnificent gray color. So at the top, I'm going to now grab my phthalo turquoise, and I'm going light. So I've added plenty of water to that. And since there is already water in the shape as well, it will make sure that it is pretty light. And I kind of let these browns and blues blend together. So I might even pull a little more umber up into the shape. That one's looking good. I'm gonna move on so I don't fiddle too much. So the same thing, I'm adding some water to this middle section. Down here, all of this is gonna get combined together, but do you see how I'm kind of leaving some white spaces? So that adds a little more texture and character to your crystal. Plopping in some burnt umber and letting that mix and mingle. Add a little indigo here. Oop, probably too intense. I don't want it to take over the world. little brown. And then I'm going to go into my turquoise and let that flow into my little shape here. All right, looking good. Gonna do the same exact thing over here. Umber. And then turquoise. Might actually let this umber kind of climb up this side a little bit. Yep, I'm liking that. So these, all three of these are still wet, so I am going to grab just the tiniest bit of my orangey sienna, and I don't want to overdo it at this point, but I do want to add a bit of this into this mix. All right, so I'm going to move on now to the top. Oop, I still had sienna in there. Adding water and turquoise. I'm grabbing a little burnt umber. I'm going to add a little bit of that right to this top area and just kind of let those flow around. Same thing over on this side. Little water, little turquoise. And since I've got that sienna popped right over here, I'm actually going to add a little right here too. So where, you know, these are, once again, this is just your own design choices. Might even add some right up here. Okay. So I think for now, I'm actually going to let all of this dry before I do this lightest area here. And so we're going to come back once everything dries. We're going to come back and really add some intensity and that sienna color down here in the bottom.